Hands feet together. Ray. Fudashi. With Tonfa, Tonfa will help your Ishinryu punches, because with your Tonfas, you need to hold the Tonfa, but then press down on the Tonfa so that it is up against your forearm. You guys know that? And one of the things, well, let's learn the big things first, okay? So open, close, open, close. And this is a combination of, remember we were talking about how you have different chain links? This actually makes you use your wrist independently from your arm. You can use your body, and you should use your body, but there's also a lot that happens in your hand. Yep, open and close, open and close. Now, same thing. Okay, we're gonna go 1, 2, 1, 2. Pull back, strike, pull back, strike, pull back. So we're just doing 2 strikes as we're up there. So we're gonna go 1, 2, and 1, 2. And what happens with your hand is that you will, I'm gonna do it this way, you will allow your hand to open and then close, open and close, and you want the tonfa to be an extension of your forearm. So you want to get to the place where you squeeze down and it stops, and there's a straight line from your elbow to the tip. Good? Good. And usually what happens in the beginning is you end up like this, right? Because it slides through too far or it doesn't go far enough. So, yep. All right, so 1, 2, pull 1, 2, pull 1, 2, pull 1, 2, 1, 2. I heard that. Clunk. Ow. Hopefully that was like your arm and not your head. Oh. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, moving on. So, pull back, swipe across, retract, pull back, swipe across, and retract. Let's do a punch with that, though. I think that's easier to get there. So, punch, pull, swipe. Punch, pull, swipe. Punch, pull, swipe. 1, 2, 3. And that swipe comes across like half of an X. And then you flick it back again. Yep. Yep, good question. So punch, flip it back, swipe, flip it back. Punch, that hurt? So, and I'll show you one thing that I do when I do that though, is that I go like this, but I use the motion. I use the motion of coming back. So I go down to the bottom, and as my arm is coming back up, that's when I do it. Does that help? You know? So let's drive with that a little bit. Let's move a little bit with it. So ready? Come back here. We're going to do a punch and a swipe across, which eventually will turn into our figure 8. Punch, swipe. Punch, pull, swipe. Punch, pull, swipe. Punch, and swipe. And then I also want us to get used to swiping across. So doing a punch and swiping right from there. Doing a punch, swiping right from there. But for now, we're going to do the big ones where we swipe across. Punch, swipe. If you've been doing Tonfa for a while, I want you to start being able to do that, where you just do the punch and the swipe. Same thing, 2 different ways of doing it. Okay, again. Ready? Let's add the figure 8. Okay, you guys know how to do that? So now we're going to do punch, pull, swipe across, flip it over, and strike. Punch, pull, swipe, 1, 2, 3. Punch, pull back, figure 8, 2, 3. Punch, 1, 2, 3, and retract. I hear troubling sounds behind me. How's it going?
I got it until I got here, and it's to the next that I'm losing.
To the last part? Okay, so you're gonna do, so try not to punch across too much. Try to punch straight ahead, pull back, 1, 2, 3. Okay, punch, pull back, 1, 2, 3. And over time, so there's a huge range of motion that you can use, right? You can go, from the biggest to the smallest, you could do a totally straight arm, and that would be the biggest range of motion, and you'll blow out your shoulders in a short amount of time. Or you could go all wrist, so that it happens all right there. Okay, so and so what you want to do is you want to find the kind of the small space that feels good and the big space that feels good. So you're not going to leave your arm straight the whole time. You are going to bend it, but you've got to use that rotation of your shoulder to get back. Put it this way, if you've come all the way to here, there's no way to get back to there bending your arm. Bending at the elbow. You're going to have to use the rotation of the shoulder if you've come all the way down here. If you stay in front, it can be, a wrist thing. And you should practice both. You should be able to practice these, boom, and just turn the recordings off or whatnot and just do 100 of these, on one side and then the other. And this is one of those things too where your right side teaches your left side, because you'll have one that's better right off the bat. And then practice the big ones. Now, if these get too far into your shoulders, a lot of times it has to do with the fact that you're not doing anything with your hips. Did you see it? It's still a figure 8. It's still a figure 8 when it's little. And I know I'm giving you maybe too much, okay? However, one of the most instructive times for me with Tonfa was when I had a shoulder injury, because I had been doing all these really big things, and of course I came to class and was like, let's do Tonfa. And I went, shoot, I have this injury. So I learned that day that my hips were way more involved with Tonfa than I realized, okay? So come across and back and through. Punch, come across and back and through. And watch the hip. You're going to come across and now pull the hip back and throw the hip forward. And it will help your Tonfa, okay? All right, we're going to move forward and back with those. So let's come back and we'll do some figure 8s. You can be in front of me. I'll be behind you. You guys set in front, just off center. Over here. Okay, ready? Each, punch, pull, figure 8. Punch, pull, figure 8. Punch, pull. If you want to add the crosses. Okay, turn around, each, figure 8. Nay. Whoops, so. Chi. Go. Rook. Turn, siege. Hatch. Coup. Jill.